see me do. No, my love is true, I'm not being unfaithful to you. The woman you catch me with in the bed really didn't have no place to rest she had. Business closed down, she lost she won. Disappointed, suffering from shock. So I take she home just to relax and cheer she up. I'm exhausted, she said to me. Boy, you're so tired and so sleepy.
A pleasant good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen.
She sat on the bed and asked me to massage her leg. That's all, that is all, that is all.
It is Monday evening in Grenada, Carriacou, and PD Martinique. We know we don't usually do this on a Monday, but guess what now? We missed last Thursday, and so we're gonna do this week, starting very early. Go ahead right now, share the live. Let them know that I'm on. Tag somebody. Let them know that class is in session.
Keep your trust and your faith in me, and I promise you there'll be no infidelity. The lady you saw me with the other night.
It is the 27th day of November.
She and she husband just had a.
It was mostly cloudy on the outside today.
I find it was really looking.
I hope everybody would have had himself a wonderful weekend.
She sit down there and start to cry.
I had a blast, man. Good evening to the persons on my Facebook and YouTube page. Welcome. God's blessings to each and every one of you. And we're ready. Are you ready?
That's all, that is all, that is all.
The voice of singer Francisco. This one, lying excuses. Today's topic. We're not going to take all of singer Francisco today. We're going to break down the tune now. Get ready to jump into our conversation for today. Tag somebody in the comment section. Share it on your page. WhatsApp somebody. Let them know we're on this afternoon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, we're not going to take all of singer Francisco today, the Sparrow. So we are going to jump into our conversation. I'm getting a feedback for whatever reason. I think that it's gone now. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As I aforementioned, I pray that you all would have had yourself a wonderful weekend. I pray that you all was doing whatever it is that was necessary over the weekend to cause your upliftment and the well-being of your family and friends wherever you are at right now throughout the length and breadth of Grenada. I want to say good afternoon to you. To the persons that are listening to me in the region, I want to say good afternoon to you. And to my wonderful friends and family out there in diaspora, I want to say good evening to you also. As I said, it's a very funny evening to be doing the broadcast, and so many persons, I don't know how many persons the information would have reached, but however, I am going to start today's session. All right, let me start by saying, ladies and gentlemen, over the weekend, I know how many of you all got the information that police officers would have confiscated just in excess of about 7 firearms this week somewhere on the western side of the island, or sorry, the northern side of the island, right? It is both frightening and commendable to have all those firearms being confiscated at one given time. And however, I still would like to tip my hat to the organ of the police force on such a haul. It's very important nowadays to be able to maybe sometimes inform the police as it relates to those incidents, because we know what have been happening in recent days as it relates to the conversation of gun violence, right? Some persons are doing it out of mere enjoyment. Some persons are doing it for territorial ownership, and others are doing it in the manner to cause harm to each other, right? So we just want to extend kudos to the organ of the police force on such, wonderful job done. Persons, I want to say, I know they would be heightening traffic checks and stops during the Yuletide season, and so I want you all, I've been seeing it, sometimes persons even send it for myself, right? The police officers are checking there, and the police is checking there, and the police is checking there. We should be very, very careful as it relates to this in going into our Christmas season. I want the police to be able to confiscate as much firearm as they could, right? It is not just sometime intended for the person that is intended for, but you know what? We have heard about stray bullets and so on and so forth. All right? So looking over to the Facebook page, I'm seeing only 2 share. We need to share more because, as I said, a lot of persons are unaware, right, as it relates to, making the live, So they start to make excuses and want to blame it on time lapses. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to jump into what have been the conversation for the entire weekend to the persons of Victoria, St. Mark's, more so, and St. John's. You all would have had those lovely meetings held over the weekend, and it was attended by many, and so we want to say hats off to the new National Party in being able to put those meetings together, because many persons don't always have the opportunity to be in front of a television or listen to the radio. Sometimes their thing is all old school. They like to go to the area and listen, and so we want to say to the many persons who went out and listened and got involved in the conversation, we want to say kudos to you and hats off to the new National Party and their team. All right? Somebody saying Goa was on fire last night. That is what we want to hear, and that is what we want to get from those meetings. Persons are going to be intrigued. In Victoria, somebody said to me, it was not a mammoth amount of people, but the message was powerful. And this is what is important. Sometimes you can't reach everybody, but the message, and we were happy that if persons would have missed it, you can always go back to the New National Party page, Facebook page, and other social media sites, and you can just simply go through what was spoken about again. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I know that in the back of many of your minds is the conversation of the Samoa agreement, right? It has really caught the attention, not just here in Grenada, but throughout the length and breadth of the Caribbean. And many persons have asked the question to me, and I always believe in the God-given ability to be able to sometimes break it down for the layman man who sometimes hear all the nice words and all the nice conversations being spoken about, and they are sometimes left ignorant as it relates to what the fact is and what is it that the conversation really entails. Sometimes they sit back and they're asking, what are you guys talking about? Right? And so today I want to take the opportunity to give a breakdown as it relates to this and this entire agreement. Now, this has really been a wake-up for a lot of Grenadians. And when I say a wake-up, prior to Friday's press conference that was held by the Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, it was alarming that the conversation of this agreement came up. I think it was a question posed by one of the persons within the media houses. So, one, the awareness of this agreement for our people as Grenadians was never a conversation until that press conference on Friday. So many Grenadians were unaware as it relates to that documentation that were to be signed. A lot of persons, if you go around and ask the question, they never knew about this. I never knew about this. So there was no conversation throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, throughout any form of social media. I never saw it on GIS. I went back to GBN and other mediums, and I attempted to see, well, whether or not this was ever mentioned prior to Friday's press conference. Now, it is saddening that Grenadians were unaware of this. And now we're stuck in a conversation that in some Caribbean regions, that this conversation is 14 and 21 days old, or it could be more. Literally, a Roman Catholic priest in Trinidad and Tobago made this agreement one of his subbans. So it means that this conversation that was brewing around the Caribbean was in full silence mood in Grenada. An important agreement that speaks to a lot of the things that we are now hearing, that has its good and its bad. Let me start by saying there are things within the agreement that I myself would agree to, because I took the time off and I went through it, went through certain articles. I cannot read the whole 400 and something pages. I wouldn't boast myself on doing that. But however, there are certain things within this agreement that we must be aware about. Right? Now, at the end of the day, as the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou P.D. Martinique, and the Minister of Legal Affairs, who had the press conference on Friday, and the question posed, they assured Grenadian something that today has left us bewildered, asking ourselves the question whether or not the communication was bad, the protocol was bad, who is really in charge, or is our Prime Minister taking full leadership of this administration, or was it a bitter lie to the Grenadian people? Because this documentation, and if we do based on time zones, persons who are aware or who may not be aware must understand that the time this documentation was signed, it means that the time of the press conference in which it was held here in Grenada, that while the press conference was being held, that documentation was either being signed or signed already. Listen to what I'm saying to you. While the Prime Minister and Minister of Legal Affairs sits in a press conference and saying to the Grenadian people, uttering words to the Grenadian people like this, at that time, this was already signed. Listen.
On Wednesday, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Trade and Expo Development, Joseph Andal, and Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell assured the nation that Grenada will not be rushed into signing any agreements that contains issues of morality.
The morality of other countries is not something that should be imposed on the morality of other countries. Nor, in my view, should it be tied to aid. because it essentially means other countries are trying to impose either their morality or their public policy on other countries by tying it to it. So that's not, philosophically, that's not something we support or protect.
Grenada, for sure, we are not willing to surrender our sovereignty to any international organization. And if there is any part of any proposed agreement that is inconsistent with our constitution and with our values, we'll think very long and hard before entering into any such agreement.
Less than 24 hours later, a release from the Government Information Service announced that resident ambassador in the Kingdom of Belgium, His Excellency Raphael Joseph, signed the Samoa Agreement on behalf of the state of Grenada. The agreement was signed on Wednesday, November 22nd. The same day, the nation was told by Minister Andel that Grenada has not yet signed onto the agreement.
Grenada and a number of other CARICOM and some other countries in the Pacific and African region of the OACPS have not yet signed. Trinidad and Tobago has not yet signed.
The Samoa Agreement represents the newest and most comprehensive partnership arrangement between the European Union member states and the 79 countries comprising the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States, and has raised concerns in several quarters, including the Roman Catholic Church, that fears that it will impose laws on Caribbean nationals that are not in keeping with the culture and values. Prime Minister Mitchell stated that he is yet to read the agreement in its entirety and is therefore unable to see if public fares are well placed.
I myself have not read the agreement, so I can't tell you whether the agreement says the things that people are saying it says. I suspect at the end of the day, our technocrats and bureaucrats who go through the agreement will best be in a position to tell us exactly what the agreements actually state.
The Samoa Agreement covers cooperation over the next 2 decades with the European Union, expected to provide funding in the tune of billions of euros for all programs and projects relative to the agreement. For MTV News, Kayla Flavany.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it yourself. This is the information given to the Grenadian people by the Prime Minister and Minister of Legal Affairs while this documentation was being signed. Imagine that the Prime Minister himself, in whom the people elected to represent them as a nation, is saying to the Grenadian people, hey, I have not even read this document. I have not even seen this document. He spoke as to persons in whom he believed that can give clarification to same. And within less than 24 hours, ladies and gentlemen, we are learning, or we learnt, that this documentation was signed. If this, ladies and gentlemen, is not a call for concern within our state, I don't know what is. It means that documentations are being signed without the Prime Minister being unaware as to whether or not it being signed. So these two gentlemen sits in Grenada saying to the Grenadian people, we ought not to do this. We are not going to do this. And while they sit saying that to the Grenadian people, the ambassador is out there signing documentations, not on the behalf of a ministry, not on the behalf of a department, not on the behalf of a party or political organization. He did it on the behalf of Grenada. Not an agreement that lasts a year or 2 years. This gentleman signed a documentation on the behalf of a country for the next 20 years. And the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou Piti Martinique, saying to the Grenadian people that this documentation he have not yet even seen. He is not even appreciative as to what is in the documentation. whether or not the allegation that surrounds it is true or false. But however, the Grenadian people are presently part of this signed agreement. They are presently part of this signed agreement, ladies and gentlemen. By this day, I am expecting that the modus operandi of this organization is that somebody has to lose their job. Because the Prime Minister is saying to the Grenadian people, I am unaware as it relates to anything in the documentation. So I don't know if within the hours that the GBN broadcasted that he took the time off to have gone through the 400 and something pages and gave the approval. Well, he could not have given the approval to sign, because the time frame would tell you that the time he was saying to the Grenadian people, the document is not going to be signed, that time the document signed already. So this gentleman is saying to you, I don't know nothing about this document. I don't know anything. I haven't even read the document. But then we are learning that even while he sits in his press conference, that the document was already being signed. You can't say to me, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a call for concern. And last night, Miss Pierre helped me more in my research this morning.
Brothers and sisters, I listened. The Prime Minister and the Minister for Foreign Affairs said, we did not sign the agreement because we would not compromise our sovereignty and our morality. Brothers and sisters, I could not believe. I checked every source to make sure that I was not wrong. That while these people were telling us that they could not sign yet because they want to carefully study this thing, while they were telling us that the agreement was already signed on behalf of Grenada, I say to you, if you're not concerned about that, then you're not Grenadian. Because this is dangerous territories that we are treading. Dangerous grounds that we are on. Brothers and sisters, this is even more frightening when I ask myself, is there anything else that you signed that you told us you did not sign? It is frightening. Is there anything else that we don't know that you signed, that you're not telling us that you signed?
Words uttered by Sister Emmeline Pierre last night at Guave. And a very, very important question. Are there other things that you're saying that maybe you told us that you signed, that maybe you didn't even know about it and you heard about it? We are now living in that age where every time these people are called upon as the political leader and Prime Minister of a state, he never knows. He never knows. And it is trickling down to even his members. They never know. And tomorrow's class is going to take over that with the conversation of the 4%. Because he sits at the press conference when the question is posed to him and he's saying, I was unaware about that. But on the 7th of November, a meeting was held with the union and the press secretary is saying to the union, we are going to pay you and retroactive payments would be forthcoming. So how the press secretary and the permanent secretary within the ministries are knowing that, but the Prime Minister who sits at the helm is unaware that those things are happening. Always a question of whether or not you know. Documents flinging left, right, and center on Facebook. All kind of things popping up on Facebook all over the place. He went on to say that he knew of the discrepancies of the agreement because he heard the uttered words from the priest in Trinidad and Tobago. So he said he's aware. He was quite aware that the agreement does have its problems. And there are major concerns. St. Vincent's, Barbados, there are other countries that are timid in going forward, in signing the documentation. The fact of the matter is there are many Grenadians and not too many Grenadians that could say that prior to Friday, they were aware as it relates to that information. How many Grenadians, how many of you all on the live, ask yourself the question, how many of you heard of this agreement prior to Friday's question posed in the press conference? Because it wasn't a topic, it was a question posed. So we were unaware. Places like St. Vincent's are saying to the people, listen to me, let me go through that, let me give the public awareness. And you see, at the end of the day, they run with it as to say only one thing we stuck on. But I'm prepared for this today. I came prepared for this today. So let me speak to you as it relates to 6 of the important things that the agreement gives to, which at the end of the day, if you're human, you can't say it is all bad. We can't say that the agreement is all bad. You understand? Because it seeks to do human rights, democracy and governance, peace and security, which is good, human and social development, which is good, inclusive, sustainable economic growth and development, which is good, environmental sustainability and climate change, which is good, right? Migration and mobility, which is good. So we're not here speaking as to say we are all blinded that the agreement, is all bad. But let me jot you back, ladies and gentlemen. Let me jot you back to 2016. And I'm going to use, this word is going to come up for a lengthy period of time today. Let me jot you back to 2016. When Dr. Mitchell's administration decided for the first time they were going to do a constitutional reform that takes a referendum. And so I could remember vividly, and I'm sorry I didn't get the tape, I only got an excerpt, but I wanted to hear our actual voice. When persons like Claude Joseph and others said to the Grenadian people that Bill number 6 in the referendum that said an expansion of the list of fundamental rights and freedom. When the referendum was placed or proposed, Claude Joseph, one of the things she said in that is that it would give rights to persons of same sex to be married in Grenada. That was one of the things she implemented that Bill number 6 would have done if we voted yes. Bill number 6 that said an expansion of the list of fundamental rights and freedom. And so Claude Joseph was one of the persons who stood up and said if we voted yes for that specific bill, what it would have done to Grenadians on the whole issue of sodomity, same-sex marriage. But ladies and gentlemen, here comes the Samoa agreement under her stewardship as the Minister of Legal Affairs. And the words uttered again, human rights, democracy and governance. Let's take the whole point of human rights. The word human rights in this documentation, the word gender and gender equality was mentioned more than 70 times. Deacon Mitchell don't see the document yet. I see it. The word gender and gender equality was mentioned more than 70 something times. And let me say to you this, as a regular people, in growing throughout the years, when you have heard the word gender before, you knew definitely was either male or female. You would have gone to any dictionary, and when you look up the word gender, you would have seen male or female. But let me say to you, ladies and gentlemen, the same word of gender and gender equality, when you Google it now, and even Oxford is saying this to you, and I read, gender is a term that refers to social and cultural construction of masculinity and femininity. It is not the same as sex, which is based on biological difference. Listen to that part. Gender can also refer to one's own internal sense of being a man, a woman, or any other type that doesn't fit either category. Gender is an umbrella term of people whose gender is different from the assignment sex at birth. If you don't understand what that means, let me go further. Gender is a word that can have different meaning depending on the context. Are you listening to me? Gender is a word that can be different meanings depending on its context. According to Oxford, the dictionary, gender can mean either of two sexes, especially when considered with the reference to social and cultural difference rather than biological ones. But it goes on. It said the fact or condition of belonging to or identifying with a particular gender. The property of belonging to a grammatical gender. Gender is also a topic that relates to health, equality, and discrimination. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me help you with this. Because I talk, and I want to break it down for the layman man to understand. One, when you're doing an article or you're going to read, let's take for example, you're going to read the laws of Grenada. One of the things that you would see in that, and excuse me, is what you call a glossary. A glossary in articles like this gives you definition to the meaning of a word in the article that you're going to use. For the people who the word too big article, if you're going to read something, you ought to have a glossary that would aid in you understanding the words that you're going to use. So take it to mean you're reading the laws of Grenada, and that's a typical example that I'm going to give you. If you're using the word person in a normal conversation, no, you would say, I touch this person, I touch that person, I touch those persons, right? The word person. Now, in its legal context, the word person means someone's genital organ. Because if you're reading the laws of Grenada and you see the word person, you would see in the glossary or in the definition, they would tell you that the word persons mean, or the word person means someone's genital organ. So if you're using the word person in the context of touching an individual, so the magistrate is going to read to you in the court that you did touch the person of John Doe. In that context, it means that you would have touched his genital parts. But in its local capacity, the word person does not mean that. You understand me? Understand where I'm going and stay with me? Now, the word gender in this article is not defined. The word gender is not defined. So there is no glossary that speaks to what the word gender and gender equality simply means. But even if you're Googling the word gender now, the world or the bigger world see the word gender as to what a person believes he or she is. So I could believe that I'm a woman. I was born a male. But I could believe that I'm a female. And the word gender, right? And based on where the documentations are coming from, in those parts of the world, they see the word gender as that. Man, woman, queer, whomever. You understand me? No, this is of no intention to play on anybody's sexual preference. But I am saying to you, government has a right at the end of the day to give proper clarification, be transparent, and govern to its best to disseminate information to people so you don't catch them with their pants down. So let's take it to mean under this agreement that the law is passed that as of today, every gender can be joined in holy matrimony. What does that mean? Let us be realistic. Because the word gender, in that capacity, what does it mean? It means male, female, man, woman, man that feels he is woman, woman that feels she is man. That is the broad scope of the word gender, and goes on to speak as it relates to gender equality. So when the Samoa speaks to human rights, and mind you, in this article, I think it is on page. When I was going through it, is on page one something. Yeah, because I had to do my research today. Or you force me, right? It is on page one something. Right? Now, when you look at the word in itself, this is where many of the Caribbean countries are saying to you, hold on, wait. Because the morals of some of this country, and you heard the Prime Minister mention it, the morals of this country, in which we have just agreed to, right? The morals of the country, what we see gender as in Grenada, male and female, they don't see gender as that. Right? Now, if they were to implement anything, based on that agreement, and let's go as it relates to the human rights and being able to know, have your man and have your woman, this would play to our constitution in Grenada and laws of Grenada. And many persons are not seeing that broader picture. The fact of the matter is 80% of this agreement is good. But we must take a stance and be careful that we are not going to give up because we see $100,000 flashing in front of our eyes and believing that the money we want. But then when you get the money, they hand you a bag of drugs and say you have to drop it off there when you don't get the money already. So you can't change your mind now because you get the money already. And you see, the Prime Minister goes on to say he is not going to change anything in the country for aid. But my dear brother, these bigger countries would shade your eyes with all the gloss and niceness, as we just seen that happen. The word human rights, what is accepted within our state as a people, with any implications by this bigger world, what they would accept, they would want us to accept it. And so I believe proper scrutiny, as the Prime Minister mentioned, was never done on this documentation. And we go say he lying, he see the document, listen to me. This gentleman have no idea what is in this documentation. And as a legal counsel, in this press conference there, when this question was posed, and as I said, sometimes these people are not using the head. Because you can't tell me you have two senior ministers sitting in a press conference and was merely unaware that a documentation of such magnitude was being signed. You can't say to me that the Minister of Legal Affairs, even her, and if you were in a setting like this and you spoke like this, you could have simply said, well, you know, we would get the Minister of Legal Affairs to give some more light into the subject. Look at it. Since Friday signed, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, tomorrow, Tuesday. Maybe they will say something about it on the news tonight. You agents that are not, this is not good enough. This is not good enough. And we can't run down the agreement. We can't. As I said, if you go through the agreement has its good. It has its positive. Right? It has its positive. There are many things, other things within the whole agreement that speaks to good. But you see, when you cover up 16 of your agenda to get to just one, it is easy. Because the peace and security sound good, human and social development, that sound good. All those things sounds really good. All those things comes across really nice. But to push what agenda? To push what agenda? So hence the reason why in recent days, when they come with me with the IMF conversation and IMF, I don't listen to these people. Because they're going to push the agenda of money. People, we ought to be careful. Listen to me. For those of us in the Christian capacity, we know these things cannot be stopped. The Bible speaks as it relates to it. And so, what is important for the people in whom we elect to stand up for us is to ensure that we bar some of those things for coming into our little society. We cannot stand on the merit of a Christian society and then at the end of the day, we're doing things like this. Because you heard the Minister of Legal Affairs spoke, not Legal Affairs, but Foreign Affairs, giving a sound words that Grenada will not. He didn't say we thinking about it, you know. He said that Grenada will not. And then you wake up the next morning, you yawn and you brush your teeth, and then you hear Grenada sign. How is that to be gurgitated? How is that for you to take in? When last week, no, so you never knew about this. And I go back, as I said, to bill number 6. And I pray that Sister Claudette Joseph would come forward and give clarity. Because when Dr. Mitchell spoke as it relates, and his team spoke about an expansion of fundamental rights and freedom in bill number 6, you said vote no. But then Samoa Project agreement says human rights and leaves it like that. You say, yeah, let me sign it. You all are being scrutinized as it relates to the pushing of this agenda, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to be real. Too many of conversations are coming surrounding this incident of wanting to implement a certain moral practice in Grenada. We can't stop all you from doing it. All you sit in the chair. So if all you have to do it, all you go do it. We can't stop all you. But we're saying, take into consideration that Grenada remains a Christian society. and we stand on the merit that we are going to remain a Christian society. We are not going to do this, as you said, for a little money, a little more money in our pocket. We're not going to do it for that. If you all want to take up the agenda, that is your all business. But we need to, ladies and gentlemen, pay particular attention to this protocol that was just morally disrespected in Grenada. Because you can't say to me that two ministers of government, in that of the Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, blatantly as that, and that's why you ought to leave it at, sit and lie to the Grenadian people. So documents are being signed, and the Prime Minister is unaware. And as Sister Pierre is asking, what other document that might have been signed that we are unaware about? The Prime Minister of St. Vincent, Brother Ralph Gonzalez, did a whole press conference on this. Their conversation in Jamaica, at a round table conversation about this heated argument throughout the Caribbean. Roman Catholic priests speaking on this in Trinidad and Tobago. In Barbados, they are reluctant to sign. And speaking to the people, and here in Grenada, we Prime Minister don't even know if the document signed. So all these other Caribbean countries are taking all these precautious measures, and here in Grenada, the Prime Minister doesn't even know. He does not even know that the document is being signed. Because and let me say to you, the primary issue here, ladies and gentlemen, and as I'm saying, is not is not the agreement. My primary issue here is the Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs being ignorant, or, attempting to be ignorant, because they came and they said, hey, we're not doing that, we're not doing this. But I cannot believe in my mind that these two grown men sat there knowing that the document is being signed or was signed, and came to the Grenadian people and tell them that. So let's take it to mean that the ambassador in Belgium did what he wants, which is another call for concern. Because you go and sign a documentation on the behalf of my people for the next 20 years that the Prime Minister of Grenada gave you no approval to do so. So you should be out of your work by this and maybe Thursday evening. Clear your desk. Because that documentation was not signed on the behalf of the National Democratic Congress. It was not signed on the behalf of the New National Party. It was not signed on the Grenada Boys Secondary School. It was not signed on the National Stadium or the persons that are working there. The document was signed on the behalf of each and every blasted Grenadian. So me, who don't even know what the hell was signed on my behalf, and the Prime Minister, who is the person that is responsible for, he don't even read the document and the document signed. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, who is expected to be an important person, the Minister of Legal Affairs, who also needs to play an integral part, all was unaware. All was unaware that this documentation was being signed. How are you to stomach things like this? Despite whatever political side that you're on. Dr. Mitchell went and he collected some money. They say he collected it on Grenada behalf. All kind of jump up. Until he had to come and say, it's me money. It's me money I go for. All cannot jump up when Dr. Mitchell went to collect his money. But the thought was that he was collecting it on behalf of Grenada. So everybody started to jump up. You go and collect money on the behalf of Grenada, and everybody on the high horse. But no, documentations are being signed on behalf of Grenada that Grenadians don't even know a squat about it. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to wise up on things like this. Government is mandated to serve every person of the state. And if the Prime Minister could sit and say to Grenadians, I have not read this document. The legal affairs, or foreign affairs, is coming forward and say, nah man, Grenada and some other countries, we say, we're not signing this. And then you wake the next day to the rude awakening that the words uttered by the Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs the day before could either be mere lies or total unawareness. So if it's a lie, you lie to the people, it's bad. Even if it's an unawareness, it is even worse. Because that could amount to forgery. Maybe somebody, I'm have to look into that. Because if the Prime Minister does not give the instruction to the ambassador, my question is, where this instruction came from? Where did the ambassador instruction came from? Who told the ambassador to sign the document? Who gave you that okay? Who give this ambassador the right to sign thing on my name and on my children's name? Are they not looking at the thing big so? Because 20 years from now, Javian and Leila is old enough and still would be part of this agreement. Think of your child or children age now and 20 years from to date. They are going to be faced with the same issue on a documentation that was signed without the approval of the Prime Minister. Well, Papa, I wonder if the GG know. I wonder if the Governor General is aware. The Prime Minister never read. The Foreign Affairs Minister is saying that Grenada is not going to sign, and then boom, he signed. I wonder if the head of state is aware. I wonder if Dame Cecily Lagrenade is aware. Anybody have she number? WhatsApp? May I ask her a question? Because, I mean, mind you, knowing their practices, those surprised they come and they had the belly to tell you that NNP that had a document in front of them. Knowing how they don't defend themselves. Those surprised they come and they tell you Dr. Mitchell's cabinet would have had the document for a long time and they just didn't sign it, and so because they're signing it now, you expect things like that, eh? Come, you don't understand. That is what they will come and say. You're not surprised. You understand me? So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, the fact of the matter is, we need to take very, very cautious steps into this now signed document agreement. Now, I wish many of us could have had the opportunity to have gone through the article. As I said, the article did a whole page for itself on the human rights issue and spoke vividly as it relates to gender and gender equality. Understanding, ladies and gentlemen, my point to that is the word or the definition of the word gender. Remember, the world does not see gender again, in the light of male and female, and you heard the definition that I gave you, and I Googled it, and go ahead and Google it, and you would realize that many of the different persons and the different encyclopedias and dictionary that had a specific meaning to the word dictionary has in recent years made significant changes to this. Right? Very, very different changes to the meaning of the word gender. And so, ladies and gentlemen, when we're speaking gender, or we're speaking on the conversation of gender on our local platform and so on, we think male and female. But those articles like this will speak differently. And believe you me when I tell you this, they will speak a lot differently to the conversation of gender and gender equality. All right? I don't know if anybody, and I don't mind taking in maybe I don't know if anybody would want to chip in, maybe briefly, maybe a comment before we wrap up. We have just about 3 minutes, right? I don't know if you want to chip in. I don't know if you want to call in for a while, or anything of that nature. Just for about 3 minutes. I know some people may want to share their ideas or whatever. Maybe I said you can do so in the comment section. So I don't know if anybody wants to speak to it. As I said in the comment section, because a lot of audios free to call me. I don't want people to hear your voice. Right? Somebody saying Uncle Tilly will be blind on this one. And as somebody was saying to me today, people, I think, and if you think about it yourself, and many persons who have been around the National Democratic Congress will tell you, as slow as they say Uncle Tilly was, he took charge of his team. He was a leader. He stood by a certain protocol. He stood by a certain standard, and he stuck there. You could say what you want about him. He's slow, he this, he that. But nobody was getting away with these things. I've seen this one doing this and this one doing, like everybody doing what they want. Just about a year or so, when the past NDC got into office, somebody put letterhead on some documentation. Uncle Tilly say you could vote for me 700 times. I'm getting rid of you. It is not right. Too many things are happening around this present Prime Minister. And it's mere protocol mismanagement, if there is a terminology of that sort. Things that are supposed to just follow suit. This happens, that happens, this happens. Government building on people land. We ever hear things like that? In Grenada, Carriacou, Martinique. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of this evening's program. It is 7 o'clock. And so, wow, somebody's calling. I wonder whether or not they're calling me. They are calling me, and I'm not seeing it popping up on my. I don't know whether or not they want to have a conversation via the WhatsApp on and so I don't know if they want me to call them back, or caller you can indicate, because I'm not seeing it popping up on I'm not seeing it popping up on my laptop, so I don't know whether or not you want to be part of the program, or you simply wanted to. Oh, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that very much, Natasha. And it's important sometimes that we do the explanation, right? It's important that we do the explanation. Not everybody is going to grasp, what is the whole conversation surrounding. And so we want to ensure that we do that. As this person, I'm seeing, I don't know. Let's see. Here. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon. You are presently
Good
live.
afternoon.
Would you like for me to call you back? You're presently live on the program. I don't know if it's that you wanted.
No, I just wanted to comment.
Oh, you wanted
Say
to?
something.
Okay, right. Well, you can go right ahead because you're live on the program. Good afternoon to you again.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to say, how foolish these people and them songing. Could you tell me the heads of state in Grenada don't know what is in the document or don't know if it is signed? Come on, people, that is laughable.
Yes.
You are could do something without your knowledge, and even though that document like that, before you sign it, as a head state, you must go through it, and better yet, as a lawyer by profession. These people and them had the agenda a long time ago, so they just make it to the fullest now. Because this thing has been going on, little pieces here, little inch there. They want to bring it in school for education. They want to do things. This is these people, and that is what they intend to do. But what I want to understand, that righteousness exalts a nation. Sin will bring us right down to the gutter. And I'm careful. This plan is the worst thing I ever see in a long while. That the other NDC, the older set was still better. This younger set, they out for the kill.
Yeah,
Have a blessed night, royalty.
Oh, thank you very much. All right. So yeah, the caller is saying this, and that is what I'm saying. The agenda seems to be on the front burner of this administration. We are hearing too much of this. Ever so often, every little thing that surrounds every little thing, it has to be something to do with, it is really appalling. Really, really appalling. I don't know what is the agenda. Come out and tell us. Come out and tell us if it's that you want to implement. You in charge. We can come in the house and vote against it because you have us. We can't continue like this. Because the word human rights is a broad. And I tell you, if you go through the documentation, you would see the word gender and gender equality being announced and announced and announced. You understand me? I think I have another caller. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Principal, and how are you?
I am fine, and how are you this afternoon?
I'm good. Well, Grenada, listen.
Yes, go ahead.
Grenada have a Tyler Perry. Eh? Anybody can come forward and say Raphael Joseph signed that document on his own without the knowledge of PM Deacon and Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Andel. They have a big reward to collect.
Yeah.
Just let me get it. Grenada no have a Tyler Perry. Anybody could come forward with that information
And say he doesn't
from
know.
Raphael Joseph saying that in truth and in fact, the Prime Minister doesn't know anything about his signing the document. So is the foreign minister. He, Raphael Joseph, signed it on his own. Tyler Perry, Grenada's Tyler Perry is ready and willing to put out some money.
Yes, because that is the appalling part. How could he have not known? Like, who gave him his instruction? Why did you sign the documentation? Was it a wrong text message? Was it a voice note you weren't hearing clearly? I don't know. And that is the concern, ladies and gentlemen. Who gave the approval for the document and the signing of the document? I don't think that this ambassador is going to throw his work away just like that. knowing his instructions. And I believe one of the fundamental instructions that you would get as a ambassador is that you must get the approval from your state. You don't work on your notion. I mean, there are minor issues that way you would have to make a decision. Let's take it to mean you're in Belgium and something comes up of a Grenadian national and you may have to make the decision. But I believe this issues, this paramount important issue, I don't think that he's going to sign a documentation on his own, ladies and gentlemen. All right? So, as I said, we went way over our time, right? And we don't want to infringe too much on the other broadcasting that would take place this evening. So we're going to jump into a few, invites and so on. So the Grand Back in Time Christmas Dance on Boxing Night takes place at the Duquesne RC Center. Roman Catholic Center is only $15 for single, $25 for couples, all right? Dress code in effect, red, white, black, or any combination. Music by popular DJ. Best dressed couple, best dressed male and female, and best dancing couple. Lots of eats and drinks. Bar will be freezing, so go out and be a part of that. All right. Mr. Grill International, they're located in Carriacou, and the sister Isle out there. You are being intrigued with some good food, I tell you guys, try this out. Mr. Grill International. G Burgers, they're located on Wall Street in Grandans. Go be a part of this. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Also, this one right here.
If you're looking for sweetness,
Nelly presents Dash or Orange Cocktail. That's on Saturday the 9th of December. Alright? Starting time 5 p.m. Serving time from 6. It's going to be on my Facebook page. Alright? Tickets are only $50, drinks inclusive. You will be a part of this one. Alright? So, ladies and gentlemen, go be a part of this one. And then there is Lux that is also coming up. That would be on the 31st of December. Go be a part of this one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure to be here and in your company this evening. I am thrilled that at least one person would have said to me, hey, listen to me, I love the explanation this evening. Thank you very much. All right. So I appreciate that so much. Who was it again? It was Natasha. I think it is the person who gave the compliment. And I think I am very much overwhelmed when things like that, right? So Natasha Joseph Lance, and she got about 7 likes. So it's about 8 persons that did this evening appreciate the fact as it relates to the explanation. All right. So we get ready for tomorrow afternoon again. We will jump into some other conversations showing much more incompetence within our state, right? And you would be intrigued that there's so many things that are happening in and around us that this administration continues to share mere lack of knowledge when it comes to them. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure being here with you this afternoon. We are going to see again tomorrow. Whatever you do for the rest of the evening, God's blessings to you and your entire family. I love you from my home to yours. Continue to enjoy the Christmas season, and you have yourself a blessed evening. Thank you very much, Dikoto. So see you again. Somebody say no. We all are saying that to teacher. All right. Thank you so very much. Good evening and God's blessings to you guys. See you guys again tomorrow.
closed down, she lost she back. Disappointed, suffering from shock. So I take she home just to relax and cheer she up. I'm exhausted, she said to me. Boy, you're so tired and so sleepy. Casually she sat on the bed and asked me to massage her leg. That's all, that is all, that is all. Husband just had a fight. I find it was really